Hi, Mike here. I deliver a lot of training on Power BI, and I also deliver a lot of training on how to use the data model and Power Pivot in Excel. And a question that comes up all the time, especially when we get onto DAX, which is a formula language used in both Power BI and Power Pivot, is can you do a VLOOKUP in DAX? The answer that I give is that DAX doesn't support VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP, but it does have a very similar function called LOOKUPVALUE. And in this video, I explain how to use it. Although I'll be using Excel in the video, the good news is that it works the same in Power BI. If you want to follow along, you can download a copy of the practice file from the link in the description below. In this file, I have three partly completed pivot tables. The three pivot tables are based on data that's stored in the data model. Let's start by looking at the raw data. The orders table contains details of all the sales transactions, and as you can see, the revenue is in UK pounds. Yes, I know that's a bit strange when the stores are in the US, but it's just a demo. Anyway, what I need is another column in the orders table that displays for each transaction the revenue in US dollars. To do that, I would multiply the number in the total revenue column by the number in the rate column in the currency rates table, where the currency 2 is USD. Right now, that number is 1.22. But let's imagine this data has been pulled in from a web page, and when the data is refreshed, these numbers will change. Once I have that new column, I would add it to the three pivot tables, so that each pivot table displays revenue generated in both UK pounds and US dollars. So now you know what I need to do, let me show you how to do it. In the orders table, double click on Add Column on the right hand side and rename it to Revenue USD and press Enter. Then place the cursor in the formula bar, and as I said, the formula will take the value in the total revenue column and multiply it by the number in the rate column in the currency rates table, where currency 2 is USD. So I start by typing total revenue, and as I type, I get a drop-down list of all the options that start with TOT. I'm going to select orders total revenue rather than just total revenue, because it's best practice to select the one that includes the table name. So I'll double click on orders total revenue. Then I'll type the multiply sign, and if this was the spreadsheet side of Excel, you'd use VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP to get the UK pounds USD rate. But as I said in the introduction, DAX, which is the language used to create formulas in the data model, doesn't support VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP. So this is where LOOKUPVALUE comes in. LOOKUPVALUE is the DAX equivalent of VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP. So after the multiplication symbol, I'll type LOOKUPVALUE, or I can just type the first 2 or 3 characters and double click on it from the list. The first argument of the LOOKUPVALUE function is the column that contains the value we want returned, which is the rate column in the currency rates table. So I'll select currency rates rate by double clicking it. Then put a comma to separate the arguments, just like in the Excel side of things. And the second argument is the column that contains the lookup value. The lookup value in this case being USD. So if you're familiar with XLOOKUP or VLOOKUP, you can see it's similar, but the arguments are in a different order. In this example, I'm looking for USD, and I'm looking for it in the currency 2 column of the currency rates table. So I will double click on currency 2, but I'll choose the one that's got the table name, and then put in another comma. And the third and final argument is USD, and that goes in double quotes because it's text. Close the brackets and enter. Final thing I'll do in here is to change the format of that column from general to currency, and change the currency symbol from UK pounds, which it's defaulted to because my machine's set up as UK format. I'll change that to US dollar. I'll then close the Power Pivot window and click into one of the pivot tables. I'll click into the first one. Now I don't see the orders table listed in the pivot table panel on the right, so I'll need to click all and then open up the orders table and drag total revenue and revenue US dollar, which is the new column, into the values box. I'll also need to just widen the columns, and then I do the same thing for the other two pivot tables. So go to all, open up orders, drag total revenue and revenue US dollar. And then the final one is going to show revenue per month. So click in the pivot table and drag total revenue and revenue US dollar. Well, I hope the video helped you out. If it did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel for more Excel tips and tricks. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. But until then, have an excellent day.